evening. International help is being pledged for India as it battles a ferocious second wave of coronavirus, described by Prime Minister Narendra Modi as a storm that has shaken the nation. Almost 350,000 new infections were recorded in India in the latest 24-hour period, and 2,767 people have died. But experts say the actual numbers are likely to be much higher. As the epidemic continues to grow, hospitals are under intense pressure with shortages of beds and critical supplies, including oxygen. In the capital, Delhi, COVID is now killing one person every 4 minutes. Our correspondent Yogita Limai reports from there.
The capital is being ravaged at a frightening speed. With every pyre that burns, India's self-belief is dying. Each funeral is a story of personal loss and national shame. Charanjeev Malhotra has been helping to cremate the dead for decades. Now, he barely ever stops working. I've never seen such a terrifying situation. I can't believe that we're in the capital of India. People aren't getting oxygen and they're dying like animals, he says. We don't even have enough resources to cremate them properly. Outside, Shivangi Mehra is on the phone organising oxygen for the hospital she works in.
Nothing is being done. I don't know government is sleeping or what they are doing. I am totally disheartened in the situation which I am seeing. Government is a literal failure. A person cannot live here in Delhi. A person cannot even die peacefully in Delhi.
She's waiting to cremate her grandfather, who died, she says, because there wasn't enough oxygen. This small hospital in North Delhi is facing a daily struggle.
Ma'am, we have been spending sleepless nights since last 1 week. I mean, at times we feel like crying because we are not able to help patient properly. Every day this is the same scenario. We are left only with 2 hours of oxygen, 3 hours of death, and we are only getting assurance from the system, no oxygen.
And so, families are being told to organise oxygen. At one medical shop, we found people with empty cylinders waiting to buy their own supply for loved ones who urgently need it. For many here, the government's promises of rushing in oxygen are coming too late. Families left asking why something so basic is unavailable.
Every crematorium we've been to, we've seen body after body being brought in. It's hard for anyone to keep count, but what workers have been telling me is that the real scale of deaths caused by COVID-19 in India is a lot higher than what official numbers reflect. And a lot of those who've died right now have done so because they couldn't get oxygen in time.
Jitender Singh Shanti runs a group of volunteers here. Even young people are dying.
There probably is no more graphic an illustration of just how bad the coronavirus crisis is hitting India than this. This is a makeshift crematorium. It's actually not meant to exist. This has been set up by the residents around here who cannot cope with the number of dead. Behind me are all the funeral pyres that represent a mother, a father, a daughter, a son, an uncle, a loved one to someone, a friend to someone. Each one of those fires is a coronavirus death, and we have been watching in just the last few minutes alone. They've been coming in virtually every second. They simply can't cope. And this is not one of the official funeral sites. This is an ad hoc one. One, they're bringing in the wood as we wait to prepare for yet more casualties coming in. And this is on top of the official sites, remember. Many of these people don't feel that they're represented in the country's statistics. They feel, even though India is facing not just a grim spike, it's almost like a consistent wall of coronavirus cases and deaths. They reckon this is just what one economist called the tip of an iceberg. That underneath that terrible grim statistic showing the huge number of cases and possibly the deaths that will follow, there's a much, much bigger, worse case scenario of numbers, who knows how many, who are unaccounted for, who are unlogged as coronavirus casualties, coronavirus cases, coronavirus deaths. We heard just today, I think it's been very much compounded by the government, the local governments, the local authorities, very much being unprepared to cope with this second surge, of which they had plenty of warning following, as they were a cycle behind many other countries who were suffering their second surge, not least Britain. They instead were embarked on a number of political rallies, all of them attracting hundreds, thousands of people. Their vaccine rollout has been a little bit, well, difficult to describe it as anything other than slightly chaotic, although they are vaccinating an awful lot of people. Because this country is so populous, it's actually only a few % of people who are actually vaccinated. And whilst they're still determinedly trying to roll out their vaccination, they haven't prepared for this huge spike and this huge sudden spike, which means that many of the hospitals, particularly in the north of the country, where I am, in New Delhi, the capital, and other areas in the north, they have been left wanting.
कल रात से हमने स्टार्ट की है, अभी तक 250 से 250 आदमियों की जानें बचा चुके हैं। इस टाइम ऑक्सीजन की सारे हॉस्पिटल और हर डिपार्टमेंट में कमी है, आप सबको पता होगा, त्राही मची पड़ी है। ऑक्सीजन ना तो बेड है किसी हॉस्पिटल में, ना सरकारी में, ना प्राइवेट में।
India's hospitals have never seen anything like this as COVID tightens its grip. A record 2,600 deaths in the past 24 hours. Overwhelmed by rising cases, for many of those seeking treatment, it's too late. For their relatives, anger in the midst of grief. And still more arrivals. Don't worry, this man says to his mother, urging her to keep breathing. He then lies on the road protesting to try and get her admitted. Others have turned to this makeshift oxygen centre outside a Sikh shrine. Sanctuary in their hour of need. The temple's president says we've helped more than 550 people in the past day. Without us, they wouldn't have survived. India's lack of oxygen supplies is taking its toll. There are reports 20 people died overnight because of shortages at one hospital. The government says it's deploying trains and the Air Force to transport supplies to hard-hit areas. Mumbai is one of the worst affected cities for COVID. Its streets lie deserted as doctors confront their worst fears.